Hey everybody, so we have a great video for you today. This is like a throwback video, a job that I did probably 5 years ago. And it's restoring a gold leafed frame where the ribbon on top of the frame was just blown out by the client dropping it on the floor. So we did a really neat restoration on this. We used some different techniques because it was quite a unique job unto itself. So we're going to show you this techniques. Remember, this is a throwback video, probably 5 years old, but the content in this video is really dynamite. It was a really fun job to do. I think that, hopefully you walk away with something from this video. So as always, if you like the video, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel here on YouTube, and check us out on the web, werefinish.net. Okay, so we're starting our restoration here, and what I need to do is rebuild this ribbon on the top of this mirror that was damaged when it fell off the wall. Actually, it was destroyed pretty much. So I'm going to use this product to begin with. That's called a steel stick from JB Weld, and I'm going to use this steel stick as it's the gray epoxy that you see here, and I'm going to use that as my base in all the areas where all the plaster was busted out and is missing. So it's a two-part epoxy. You just mold it together with your fingers, and I just knead it together, and then I just fill in all these areas that are missing to kind of rebuild my base structure. Once I've done that, then I'm going to go ahead and I'm using a product called air dry clay. Now the point of the air dry clay for me is all the areas, and you can see right here what I'm going over top of is the JB Weld. So that's my gray putty that you're seeing on the base there, and I've used that throughout this ribbon in order to rebuild it. Now with the air dry clay, what I'm going to do is I'm going over top of the JB Weld, and it's going to give me a smoother finish so that when I do my gold leafing over top of this, it's not going to show the imperfections that the JB Weld had. I found that the JB Weld just really didn't smooth out quite the way that I wanted it to. And that's why I gave this air dry clay a shot, and actually it turned out that I love this. I love this process. It just really worked out well for me. So what I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of water, and I'm just using my wet finger and just sort of smoothing out the clay. This is going to give me a really nice transition. So since you can feather the clay out so smoothly and so thinly, you can transition yourself from the areas where it was damaged to the areas where it is damaged. And that feathering out will give me a really nice finish at the end. So then, sort of what I'm doing here is I just cleaned off the areas, and then I just let it sit and dry. So as you can see, I had a bunch of areas that I had to use, my JB Weld as the base. And now what you're seeing here is all the red clay over top of the JB Weld, and these are just the areas that I rebuilt. So this frame was like destroyed. So we rebuilt it, and now we're ready to go ahead and do the next step. Now the thing about the air dry clay is that it's just clay, right? So it'll be very brittle, and it's not going to stand up, and if I pick this up and actually grab the ribbon, it's going to crack and be brittle. So what I decided to do to fix that problem is use some fiberglass, and I'm going to encase it in fiberglass. So as I encase my ribbon in fiberglass, I'm also adding a little bit of what's called it's Mohawk bronzing powders made from Mohawk. Mohawk Finishing Supplies, I believe it is. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking the fiberglass and I'm mixing it according to the manufacturer's recommendations, which is X amount of drops of hardener into 1 ounce of fiberglass. So I use a little 1 ounce container to mix it, and I mix up enough ounces that I think it's going to take care of the job for me, and then add as many drops as recommended of the hardener. Then I just added a little bit of bronzing powder, but that was not necessary. I just decided to do it because I had the bronzing powder. But this isn't going to be my final finish. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just taking my brush, dipping it in the fiberglass, and basically painted all of the areas that I repaired with fiberglass. And that's going to encase that clay for me and give me a really strong surface there to work. So that way I don't have to have any problems down the road of it cracking or chipping or falling apart. Then next what I'm going to do is I'm going ahead and gold leafing everything. Now gold leaf comes in sheets, and this is, by the way, imitation gold leaf. So you can get your imitation gold leaf in sheets, and you can also get it in rolls. And here I just used a roll of imitation gold and covered all the areas that I repaired. Then you take a brush and you just dust it off, and you dust off all the loose leafing. Now, usually you have to use size for your gold leafing. I did not in this situation because my fiberglass was tacky. So I was able to use the tackiness of the fiberglass as it cured as my size. But normally when you do gold leafing, you need to use like an oil-based size, which is like a gold leaf glue. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this because I've got my gold leafing down, which is really was important in this job for the reflectiveness and the depth of color. However, it's way too bright. So what I had available in the shop at the time was this product called Rub and Buff. Now, if I did this today, I probably wouldn't use Rub and Buff, but this was 5 years ago, and I had this stuff in the shop, and I used it, and it worked out really well, actually. It's like a wax, sort of like a cream, and you just rub it on, and it just has, this was like, I think, pale gold, and I just rubbed it over, and what it did was I could sort of apply it to a point where it didn't take away, it didn't paint over all of the gold leaf. It still left some of the gold leaf shining through. So I applied all that, got the color that I wanted, and then I followed it up with some orange shellac. And the orange shellac really gave me the color that I needed and matched the frame perfectly with the combination of the Rub and Buff and the orange shellac. So as you can see, it was a wreck when we started. Went ahead and did this whole process, which really worked out wonderfully, actually, and it came out looking really fantastic. So if you ever come across a project like this, I doubt I will ever again, but give this a try. It was really a fun project to do.